It is just after 7 o'clock on January 4th, 2022, and we'll call the regular City Commission meeting of the City of Ormond Beach to order. I hope you felt welcomed when you came in this evening by Police Captain Chris Roos and our Leisure Services Director, Robert Carolyn, who served as our greeters this evening. I'd like to introduce the folks who are sitting up in front of you. To my right, your left, is our Recording Secretary, Taylor Lockard. Assistant City Clerk tonight is Wendy Hauntz. Commissioner Dwight Selby from Zone 1.
Good evening.
Commissioner Troy Kent from Zone 2.
Hey, everybody.
To my left and your right, Deputy Mayor and Zone 3 Commissioner Susan Persis.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Commissioner Rob Littleton from Zone 4. And back up on the dais with us, City Manager Joyce Shanahan, Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley, City Attorney Randy Hayes, and for those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. At this time, if you would silence your cell phones and rise for the invocation given by the Reverend Willie Branch, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good to see you, Reverend Branch.
Good being seen. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for the privilege of coming before you in this new year. This being the first meeting of this commission. Lord, dispatch your angels around the leaders of this city. Give them godly wisdom to conduct the business of the city of Ormond Beach. And then continue to protect this city. Lovely city. And we thank you for all that you continue to do for the past 2 years during the illnesses that's been passing through our country. Lord, bless all of those, the healthcare workers, the first responders, Lord, all those that put themselves in danger every day. And we thank you. It's in your name I pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated, and at this time I'll ask Norman and Teresa Carr to come forward. If you'll stand right up here in front of me, I'm going to read a proclamation that this commission is presenting you with. If you'll face the audience. Whereas Norman and Teresa Carr, a married couple for 38 years, moved south in 2013 from North Carolina. They love Florida and enjoy the quality of life that Ormond Beach provides for its residents. And whereas Norman and Teresa have been dressing up as Santa and Mrs. Claus for 15 years, with 6 of those years as part of the Santa on Patrol with the Ormond Beach Police Department. Santa on Patrol was born when the Carrs asked if the police department needed an official Santa. They also contribute funds to purchase toys for the children. The Santa on Patrol program hopes to promote goodwill and cheer during what can be a difficult time of year for some individuals. The entirety of the program is funded by donations from local citizens and clubs with the goal of advancing the practice of community policing through enhancing the relationships between the community and our police officers. And whereas dressing up offers the Carrs a way to give back to their community, from appearing in the villages for a very special group of individuals to being escorted in a patrol car across Ormond Beach to sitting in for the injured scheduled Santa in the Home for the Holidays parade. Dressing up is as much a treat for the Carrs as for those whose lives they touch. They visit daycares, schools, and hospitals, bringing that cheer that only Santa and Mrs. Claus can create in children everywhere. Whereas Norman starts wearing a red shirt the day after Thanksgiving and continues wearing them every day through Christmas. Teresa always carries a Santa hat with her so that when they are out, Norman can slide his glasses down and add on the hat. The extraordinary acts of kindness and selfless display of compassion the cars have for children in their community is what the rest of us strive to emulate daily. Now, therefore, I, Bill Partington, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, on behalf of the entire Commission, do hereby proclaim January 4th, 2022 as a day to recognize Norman and Teresa Carr in the City of Ormond Beach, and encourage all residents to join me in thanking Norman and Teresa for their generosity of spirit in giving of their time and funds each year.
Looks like you have one relative in training. Looks like.
That's got to be your dad. They look just alike. Oh my gosh, they're like twins. You're twins. Oh my gosh.
No glasses. All right, ready?
One more. Nice.
Thank you so much.
And next, I'll ask Evelyn Robustini to come up, and also Captain Roos, if you'll join her, and anybody else, Evelyn, that you want to bring up. Whereas human trafficking is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, for the purpose of forced labor or other servitude. Whereas human trafficking is a $32 billion a year global criminal enterprise, and it's a crime as well as a civil and human rights violation. And an estimated 40.3 million people are currently victims of human trafficking. Whereas human traffickers prey on their victims by promising a life of hope and greater opportunity while delivering only enslavement. Instead of delivering people to better lives, traffickers unjustifiably profit from the labor and toil of their victims, who they force through violence and intimidation to work in brothels and factories, on farms and fishing vessels, in private homes, and in countless industries. And whereas Ormond Beach, Florida is a vibrant city home to over 43,000 residents and hosts to over 5 million guests who have the right to hope, freedom, economic security, safety, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and we commit ourselves to eradicating the evil of enslavement. Human trafficking is a modern form of the oldest and most barbaric type of exploitation, and we proclaim that it has no place in the world, our great nation, or our city. So this month, we do not simply reflect on this appalling reality, we also pledge to do all in our power to end the horrific practice of human trafficking that plagues innocent victims, not only around the world, but in our nations and communities. And whereas more awareness and education are crucial to eradicating human trafficking in our communities, state, and nation, whereas Human Trafficking Awareness Day is observed on January 11th in municipalities across the country in order to educate the public and raise awareness about human trafficking, in Ormond Beach, we reaffirm this city's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists human trafficking victims. Now, therefore, I, Bill Partington, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, on behalf of the entire Commission, our City Manager and staff, and all 43,080 of our residents, do hereby proclaim January 2022 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in the City of Ormond Beach, and urge its residents, agencies, and champions to support efforts and actions to end human trafficking. Evelyn, did you want to say a couple words? First of all, thank you for all you do. Chief, thank you for allowing her to do what she does. It's an amazing job that she does for our city. And so if you want to face the audience and just make a quick statement, that'd be great.
Part of our human trafficking task force is to definitely educate the community, and part of the Victim Services Coalition and the task force. We've got 2 trainings coming up in January. We make sure that we get the word out to as many people as we can, share it with even just regular citizens. You don't have to be part of an agency or church affiliation or anything like that. We want to educate as many people as we possibly can. So thank you, Mayor Partington and the Commission for always supporting victim services and what we do in our community, and continue to.
Thank you. Yep, it's an extremely valuable service, and we want to get a picture with you guys facing the audience. We'll be behind you. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, this is a special occasion, bittersweet. Thank you. Ken, where are you at? There you are. If you would come up, sir. This is a proclamation in honor of Ken Russell, who is a longtime city employee who's retiring. Whereas Ken Russell has been responsible for overseeing the distribution of water to all customers of the City of Ormond Beach Utilities, while also creating and implementing solutions to improve the delivery of water to residents and the maintenance of fire protection hydrants during his time working for the City of Ormond Beach. Ken started working for the city in May 1990, and whereas Ken grew up in Connecticut, moving to this area following service to his country in the United States Air Force, Ken has spent the last 17 years as the water distribution supervisor, where his commitment to the profession has allowed Ken to earn the distinction of Class 1 Water Distribution System Operator. This is the highest level of certification achieved by less than 20% of those achieving certification. And whereas the main priority in Ken's life is his family, he enjoys spending quality time with his wife, Emily, sons, Joey and Brody, as well as parents, siblings, nieces, and nephews. Family provides focus for his actions, and all plans for the future revolve around them. And whereas Ken is responsible for many important programs within the City of Ormond Beach and its utility department, this includes procedures that ensure the city's meters are properly calibrated, that backflow prevention devices protect the city's water supply, that the city's fire hydrants continue to provide fire protection to our neighborhoods, and that underground utilities are located in an accurate and timely manner to ensure that they remain safe during construction activity. Every time you turn on your water faucet, Ken is the reason that you've had that reliable service for the last 31 years. That's right. Ken has been recognized by citizens and local papers for his response to urgent situations affecting the community, many times going above and beyond the call of duty. He was awarded Employee of the Quarter and Employee of the Year in fiscal year 2013-14 by the city, and Employee of the Year for Public Works Utilities in 2015 by the Volusia County League of Cities. And whereas Ken's dedication to the city leaves a legacy that will be felt for many years to come through these programs, the staff he has trained and mentored, the friendships he has established, the positive experiences with the public, and the essential distribution system that provides water to the residents of the City of Ormond Beach. And whereas Ken retires on January 5th, 2022, after over 31 years of service to spend more time with his family and begin the next phase of his life, we appreciate all that Ken has done and wish him the best in his future endeavors. Now, therefore, I, Bill Partington, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, on behalf of the entire Commission, do hereby proclaim January 5th, 2022 as a day to recognize Ken Russell in the City of Ormond Beach and encourage all residents to join me in wishing Ken the best in his well-deserved retirement.
Mr. Mayor, if I might have a moment before Ken sits down. I just want to tell you how special the guy Ken is. Not only has he been doing this job for 30 years plus, he really took it upon himself to build his team. And his team is extremely dedicated to him. And he knows how to garner that dedication. One year he bought them for Christmas T-shirts that said "Water Warriors," and so he really they want to please him. He's such a good boss, and they are such well-rounded workers. And in fact, we're promoting one of your employees to fill his position. So that's the highest compliment your employees can give you. So I congratulate you on such an amazing job for our city, and you are going to be deeply, deeply missed. Well done.
All right, audience remarks, and we will start with Reverend Willie Branch.
Still have a fight with gravity. Reverend Willie Branch, 6 Cherokee Trail, Ormond Beach. I stand here as the chairman of the Ormond Beach Housing Authority Board to just give you a status of what we've been doing the past 2 years. Ormond Beach Housing Authority is now one of the smoothest operating housing authorities in the state. We rate yearly in the upper 90s, if not 100%, in our audits. We are protecting and as HUD requires to make sure our residents live in a safe, clean environment. If anyone has passed by any of our properties, Ramsey or Division or over on Hand, you will see that the properties have been painted, new fencing, everything, even in the interiors, they have been changed. When I first came to the board close to 8 years ago, they had pre-50 furniture in there. That's all been updated. And we look at our residents and explain to them, we are not the projects. We are affordable housing. Keep it up. And I thank you guys for whatever support we get from the city of Ormond Beach. And for those who don't understand, we're named Ormond Beach Housing Authority because HUD requires that any organization that is a housing authority must be named after the municipality in which they sit. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Clay Beasley.
Clay Beasley, 2180 Raven Trail, Ormond Beach. I'm here today to ask for permission on the January 18th agenda meeting under Section 4.5, Part D, comments by general public. Let me put my eyes on. Unless otherwise provided by these rules, a majority of consent of the City Commission, comments to a member of the general public shall be limited to no more than 3 minutes. We have a kind of a unique situation out where we live in Durance Acres with the meeting coming up in January 18th. We've got a pile of people that are going to want to come in here and comment. So we do emails in our area out there, and my little group out there, about 90 homeowners, 43 of them so far have asked me to speak on their behalf, so we don't have 43 of them coming up here and having 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 per household. I'm in a unique situation to where I understand what's going on out there, and we can limit the time, which would be more helpful for y'all. The planning board meeting went extremely long, to a couple hours and that was just with a handful of people that showed up. So what I'm asking for is the ability to not have just 3 minutes so I can convey what our problems are out there on their behalf. And so I need to know if I can get that done prior to the 18th.
Thank you. This is 3 minutes where you get to say whatever you want.
Okay.
And you listen.
Well, that's all I got to say. Is there any way for me to be able to find out if that can happen prior to that, or do we have to wait till the day of? That's the question.
I would recommend you talk to the city attorney or the city manager, not right this second, but
It's the city.
That's-
It's
yeah.
the city commission, and you guys would have to vote on that, though.
understood.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last but not least is Jim Schultz.
Jim Schultz, 117 Harvard Drive. Thank you, Ken. I like water. And anyways, I like it when I turn on the tap. There's been so much in the news lately. We knew all about Alpha, Delta, Omicron, and now we're learning about supposedly vaccines that they were claiming were protective, but they never were tested for that. As far as the Pfizer, it was always considered a leaky, non-sterilizing vaccine. Oh, so thus legally it wasn't a vaccine until they changed the meaning of vaccine to include that, because actually a vaccine is supposed to prevent you from catching something and transmitting it. Because it was a gene therapy and it was new messenger RNA technology, it didn't have that capability, and it still doesn't. So what they did is they just changed the definition at the World Health Organization and at the FDA. And then they also, it sounds an awful lot like they're claiming that there is actually an approval on a vaccine for the United States, Pfizer. Total lie. The Pfizer vaccine that they said is approved isn't available in the United States and won't be. Commodity. Our Pfizer BioNTech is available, is being used, and it has an emergency use authorization, not a FDA approval. And thus, actually, it makes it quite illegal, well, under the existing law that they decided they're not going to actually look at, for OSHA to make it mandatory. Because if OSHA makes a emergency use vaccine mandatory, then any business that forces its use actually is responsible for a reportable workplace injury if they were to actually look at the law, what it says. And that would make them liable for that person's injury for their lifetime or lack of lifetime. Oops. So thus the government said, well, we're going to ignore that part of the OSHA law and not enforce it. They didn't change it. They just said we're going to overlook it. Seems a little bit something when you're taking and actually cashiering military people out of the service for special forces and say, hey, we're going to bill you for that $1 million of training that you had if you do this. You want to think this over? Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. That concludes audience remarks, and I just wanted to make a brief statement. The commission was just a touch late coming in for the 7 o'clock meeting because we had been in a workshop. In anticipation of the upcoming contract negotiations, city staff were working on a pay study to gather data and update these rates. After reviewing the information, given the ever-changing landscape of the current economy, the commission met tonight, and staff will present the unions with a memorandum for consideration to adjust our rates mid-contract. This more timely adjustment will help in attracting and retaining an efficient and effective workforce that can maintain the high quality of service Ormond Beach prides itself on maintaining. So you may hear more from each commissioner along those lines, but I just wanted to explain why we were a little late little late getting in here. Now for the approval of the minutes. The minutes have been sent to the commission for review and posted to the city's website. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? These are the December 7th, 2021 City Commission meeting.
Move approval.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign, and we'll show those passing unanimously. Now on to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull any item from the consent agenda?
Move approval?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Wendy, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And does any commissioner wish to comment on any of the Commissioner persons?
Yes, I just would like to comment on the new police vehicles that we're getting. Instead of cars or sedans, they're SUVs, and the picture of them look really nice. So, Chief, I'm very excited to see those around town. I just think that's going to be a great addition to Ormond Beach.
Great. Anyone else? We'll move to 8A.
Resolution number 2022-07, a resolution declaring the intention of the City Commission to adopt a reapportionment ordinance describing the proposed reapportionment boundaries and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2022-07, read by title only.
Thank you. And I'll ask our planning director, Stephen Spraker, to speak on this item.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. At the December 7th City Commission workshop, there was a discussion with reapportionment. This follows up on that meeting. Sorry. So each City Commission zone gained population. The total population of the city now is 43,080 people. As part of the process, there's a need to readjust the commission district boundaries to provide equal representation. There are criteria established in our city charter in section 5.09. Their redistricting must follow the census blocks, and the goal of each commission district zone is 10,770 people. At the workshop, there was multiple options presented, and the option that was directed to staff was two areas of change, in essence, basically south of Airport Road along the river from US 1 to I-95, and the area along North Beach Street between Sanchez and Domicillo. So those areas would change. The Airport Road would go from Zone 3 to Zone 1, and the North Beach would go from Zone 1 to Zone 2. So there's an equal balance of population between the four commission zones. Zone 4 does not change at all. This is a schedule that was in your packet tonight. We're doing the resolution of intent, which is required for the city charter. The next steps, if approved, would be come back to the commission with an ordinance. The entire resolution of intent would be advertised, and anyone can come and make public comments. Staff is recommending approval. We are here if any questions.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any cards. Any questions for Stephen? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'll move approval of Resolution 2022-07.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, thank you. And we now go to reports, suggestions, and requests, and start with City Manager Joy Shang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As part of your 2021-22 budget process, you all developed and instituted a new capital project fund for public safety, and that was to provide equipment and vehicles for public safety and to ensure that there were enough funds every year. So you heard tonight that we are purchasing 7 police vehicles. That's probably a record for us to purchase at one time. And in October, you gave authorization to move ahead with the radio replacement. I'm here to tell you tonight that they have rolled out the new radios to police and fire, and they have rolled out to Public Works as well, and I think Leisure Services was the last one to roll out today. We were the very first jurisdiction in Volusia County to get the new radios, and that's precisely because you set up that new fund. So I can speak on behalf of the police chief and fire chief that they're very grateful for your expedition and accelerating that radio purchase, and we don't have to wait behind anybody else. They still have to roll out some of the mobile radios in the vehicles, but that is coming. So thank you for that effort and leading the way in Volusia County to ensure our public safety professionals have all the equipment that they need to do their jobs. Secondarily, staff met with St. Johns River Water Management District in early December before Christmas, just to review with them their guidelines for grant funds, in particularly for reuse water. So we are meeting again with them to discuss some future project ideas that we may have. And the St. Johns River Water Management District is kind of changing their philosophy in how they award grant funding. It used to be that you would have to present a single project, even if it was a phased project. You know, 1 year you would have to present year one and then go back and get grant funding for year 2 and year 3. Now they've taken a more comprehensive approach to that, and they're encouraging cities to come forward with a multi-year project and get phased awards for that so that they don't have to continue to review that. So I want to applaud Sean Finley and his staff for taking the initiative to reach out to St. John's grant manager, get some guidance and some inside info on how to fashion our grant applications. Of course, we bring those to you before we move forward, but I just wanted to update you on that particular piece because I think that's very important. And so we're staying ahead of that curve. Some upcoming workshops. We have the Parks and Rec Master Plan. That's the final draft of the master plan. I think it has already been to Leisure Service Advisory Boards, and so it's coming to you with their recommendation. And then once you workshop that, then we'll bring it back for approval in a commission meeting. Casson Park, the redesign of the Casson Park is scheduled for February 1st. And then we've got just the capital budget process, so you know moving forward. Commissioner Kent, you said earlier today that you are not available on February 1st for a meeting.
That's correct.
And I know that Casson Park was important to you. I don't know if there's any desire to reschedule that or just leave it on February 1st.
I wouldn't ask the commission to do that. If they felt that they wanted to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. But
Okay.
you know, I'm not gonna ask for it. If they want to, they can. If they want to have it as scheduled, that's fine as well.
I'm fine with changing it.
Yeah.
You
What about
could-
the second meeting in February?
Yeah,
That's perfect.
I think that should be fine.
That's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything further. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Joyce.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for the city manager?
I do.
Commissioner
Ms. Shanahan, since you brought up St. John's,
Yes.
is there an update on our consumptive use permitting?
Sean, can speak to that.
If you don't mind, thank you.
We're in the final stages of putting the polish on that application. We anticipate that we will, and part of doing that is those projections, getting the modeling correct, taking a look at some of our own process, some of our water losses, and making sure we account for all of our water to be able to ask for the amount of water that we're going to need for organic growth as well as developed growth. So we anticipate that application. Our consultant has met with St. John's previously as pre-application meeting. We anticipate that final application going into St. John's later this month.
Thank you. Any other questions for city manager? Thank you, Joyce. Assistant City Manager Claire Witt.
But have a great New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year. And City Attorney Randy Hayes.
Comments, thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Tonight we start report suggestions and requests with Commissioner Kent.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody. And just some very brief comments. The Christmas parade that we had was spectacular. More people than I've ever seen at our Christmas parades. Joyce, the amount of candy you all put in the trucks was second to none. I mean, it was amazing what you all did. And I wish Robert Carolyn was still in here, so he's just going to have to listen to this later on. I was so impressed with Robert Carolyn's attention to detail, from locating vehicles for the commission at the 11th hour to his care with our residents for whatever they needed. If they needed to come in and use the restroom or anything like that during the event, he was on top of it to make sure that our guests and our residents felt welcomed. And it was a great way to kick off the holiday spirit. So tonight, my comments were really about him and his crew, his team that he has. Excellent job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Deputy Mayor Persis.
Good evening, everyone. I also want to wish everybody, again, a wonderful and safe 2022 coming up. The Christmas parade, as Commissioner Kent said, was absolutely fabulous, and there were so many people, and they were all so happy. It was just a very happy evening, and I know the residents all enjoyed it. So city staff, everyone that was involved, thank you so much for that. And the decorations in our city were great. Today and yesterday, I saw staff taking down the decorations. You know, it's always fun to put them up, but I thought, oh gosh, now they have to take them down. Didn't look like as much fun, but they're out there working hard to, make sure our city is doing what it's supposed to be doing. I did want to give another shout out to Sean Finley. I received the nicest email, Sean, from Fred Hain, who lives in Sadler's Run, and you were able to get those 4 areas of sidewalk repaired. I guess they were in bad condition, and for people that walk or run or whatever in that area, it was an extreme safety issue to them, and it's all fixed, and they are so happy. So I just want to thank you for paying attention to them and making them feel important. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll say good night to everyone.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Littleton.
Thank you, Mayor. I hope everyone had a wonderful New Year's. I was very satisfied with what the commission did earlier today at the Shade meeting. And for the unions, I hope you look at that very, very much in detailed form and come back to us with what you think. I think you'll like it. And with that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Littleton. Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you all have a fantastic 2022. Can't believe it's 2022. Oh my gosh. The holiday parade was fabulous. The turnout was amazing, and the leisure services accommodated my 11 family members in the back of that pickup truck. 11. Oh, actually it was 11 and a half because Kelly, my daughter-in-law, is pregnant. So so there was one. And then, Commission, I just wanted to, as a follow-up to Mr. Beasley's question, I think that's a great idea to allow Mr. Beasley to speak on behalf of the Durance Acres neighbors regarding the Tattersall at, the proposed development at Timber Creek and Airport Road. And I'd be happy to reach out to him, and I guess he was asking for additional time. He didn't want to be confined to just 3 minutes, and so I don't, Mayor, I don't want to usurp your authority here, but is that something we can do? Is that a?
Well, he left. I wanted to talk about that too. I mean,
I'd be
the
happy
way he
to.
presented it, that's why we have a 3-minute audience comment period and we don't respond. He could come up and ask for anything, and then if we agree to do that for him, then we have to do it for every other person that ever comes up and asks for that on a precedent-setting level in similar situations. And I don't think we want to get into that situation. He presented a lot of information without any documentation. He just stated some things. So I haven't seen any emails. I haven't heard from the other neighbors. He may assert that, and then there may be 40 other neighbors that show up and say, wait, I want my 3 minutes too. He wasn't speaking for me. And so it gets into very dangerous territory. You want to be accommodating, and you want to be helpful, and you want to listen, but you don't want to put yourself in a situation where it becomes unmanageable or you can get taken advantage of. So I would ask either the city manager or her designee or the city attorney to figure out maybe the best way to propose handling it. I'm all for saving time. If we can give him 5 minutes, I mean, people can say generally everything they need to say in 3 minutes. For years, we've had that 3-minute rule. And when you extend it, they end up repeating themselves and repeating themselves and repeating themselves. And that gets to be problematic. So those are the issues. I'm happy to deal with it however the commission wishes to deal with it at the appropriate time. Once we have better documentation of exactly what he's asking for, and we can make the decision as a group what we want to do. I think it's our rules. We decide ultimately. I kind of thought that night at the meeting might be the better time to make that decision once we had more information.
Well, I guess the only concern, if he doesn't have any advance notice on whether or not he's going to be, if we are going to grant him, 10 minutes or something like that to speak on behalf of those neighbors. I know he is a respected neighbor out there. I've talked to him several times, and I've talked to others out there, and yeah, he has no dog in the fight because his property isn't affected by what will happen out there, but they do speak to him. So I understand your concern. I think it would be in everybody's best interest if we maybe could set some, if we wanted to do that, set it up tonight, under what circumstances it would be approved.
Well, I mean, it's up to the commission. I'm not comfortable setting it up tonight because I don't have additional information.
Yeah, I think you have a good point, because we don't know that he is speaking for everybody.
So that could be one of the conditions.
I mean, he probably is, but we don't know that. So maybe if Joyce or Randy get some emails saying we would like, from all the residents, that we would like him to represent us and speak for 5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever, then I don't have a problem with that.
Mr. Mayor?
We should just do it right now.
Randy.
If I can add some clarification. So this is the matter will come before you as a public hearing matter. It's a quasi-judicial proceeding, and so the procedures are pretty set in stone. It's important to consider these matters at the appropriate time, which would be at the public hearing. I don't think it would be appropriate for you this evening to take formal action on that request. The appropriate time to do that would be during the public hearing process. I will say that historically, the commission has been pretty gracious in allocating additional time based on the circumstances that are presented at the time if they deem it is warranted. I will also share with you that the planning board meeting was not 2 hours. It was more like 3 hours or 3.5 hours on this one item. I think between the planning director and my office and the city manager's office, we can get a better idea from Mr. Beasley how many residents he's speaking on behalf of, how many additional residents may wish to speak, and try to provide some parameters in that respect. And then that way, when the question comes to you at the public hearing time, you can make a more informed decision, if that's helpful.
That helps, Randy, too. And I mean, I'm always thinking, trying to anyway, I don't always do it, but trying to think a step or two ahead. So, depending on how the vote goes with the commission, if this thing ends up in circuit court and the circuit court says, well, only one person spoke, and somebody tries to argue, well, yeah, but he was speaking for 40 people, I don't know that a circuit judge is going to buy that. And that can be either side, whether it goes up or goes down, or whether the residents are for it or the residents are against it. It's just something you need to consider as far as the development of the record. I mean, the 18th is going to be a long meeting. I would predict, I would say eat your Wheaties before we get started with that one. But that's the way it has to be if you're going to develop a record that is going to be appropriate for any project. So I think I'm safe in saying that, and that's a consideration we need to factor in as well. So is everybody okay waiting until?
I would just like to add that I would like staff for the information. What's our precedent that the city has done? What's the precedent at the county? Because I know they sometimes offer this when public speaking comes up. Those are two things of information I'd like to know.
Good deal. Anything else, Commissioner?
Yeah. My wife is listening online and reminded me that my daughter-in-law had already given birth to, she was, all right, our 5 grandchildren were there. We had 11 total people, not 11 and a half. So,
During the parade? Or?
you know, like, I'm a guy. Come on, give me a break. With that, I'll say goodnight.
Yep. Sometimes it's better to stop digging. I hear you. Thank you, Commissioner. And I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year as well. I think 2022 is going to be great. The Christmas parade was amazing. You all have covered all the points of that. It was a huge crowd, and I hope it continues to be huge like that. I've never seen so many people on the opposite side of the street, all up and down the parade route, which was amazing. It presented a little bit of a problem as far as the candy throwing, because I can't throw that far, but just something to consider for next year. As far as the union contract adjustment that I discussed, I want our employees to know that we, as a commission, appreciate you. We love the job you do. You do an amazing job every day. So many of you, and we get the compliments for that. We get the credit for that. Our residents appreciate you and thank you for your service. And so we hear you when you talk to us as a commission and staff as well. We're not tone deaf. We understand and hear and see the exact same conditions that are going on in the economy on a national basis and on a local basis that you do. And so mainly, I think that's the primary driving force for what we did. And you guys do an amazing job, and we appreciate you for that. And with that, we'll say good night.